Shabbat Shalom Yasharallah. Welcome. We are on week 21 of our line by line Torah portion series. We will be covering Exodus 17, verse 8 through 21. Before we begin, let us pray. Heavenly Abba, high in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Barak you, Barak all that you do that goes unseen, unnoticed by us simple-minded men and women, that we do not take your blessings in this day that we have for granted, that you may bestow upon us the strength and the eyes and the ears to hear and understand as we read and seek to grow stronger in your set-apart ways. Allow us to remain in your light, Heavenly Abba, and to shine a light on our forward path, that we may never stray to the left or to the right. Barak your name, Bahashem Yeshaya. Amen. All right, let's get right into it. Exodus 17, verse 8 is where we are starting. And we are at the battle of the Amalekites. And before we even start reading, I just wanted to give a reminder of who the Amalekites are. So let's go back to our visual here. We see that this is descendant of the grandson of Esau. So just very interesting. This is a descendant of Esau. And we know from wrestling in the womb to the end of days, Esau and Jacob was going to be going back and forth. And so this is where we start off in this reading.
After this, the Amalekites came and attacked the Israelites at Rephidim. So Moses said to Joshua, "Choose some of our men and go out to fight the Amalekites. Tomorrow I will stand on the hilltop with the staff of God in my hand." Joshua did as Moses had instructed him, and fought against the Amalekites, while Moses, Aaron, and Hur went up to the top of the hill. As long as Moses held up his hands, Israel prevailed, but when he lowered them, Amalek prevailed. When Moses' hands grew heavy, they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it. Then Aaron and Hur held his hands up, one on each side, so that his hands remained steady until the sun went down.
And what this reminds me of is the ancient Hebrew pictograph of hay. I'm going to read the verse one more time, and then I'm going to show you the pictograph. As long as Moses held up his hands, so he has both his hands up, Yasharallah prevailed. When he lowered it, they didn't, right? When Moses' hands grew heavy, that's when Aaron and Hur held up his hands. And, oh, come on. Let me refresh it real quick. Here we go. All right, so 5, this is the fifth Hebrew character of the ancient alphabet. This is modern. This is ancient Middle Hebrew, and this is ancient pictograph. And it's a man, like quite literally a stick figure man with both of his hands raised up, as we see right here. A pictograph is a man with his arms raised, in a sense saying, behold, revealing or taking a deep breath. And also we're looking at in the story that this position is a position of praise and prayer that Moses is in this very story. So taking the idea of a man with his arms raised, we go into the description now of scripture. Psalms 141, verse 2. Let my prayer be set forth before thee as an incense, in the lifting up of my hands as the evening sacrifice. 1 Kings 8:22. And Solomon stood before the altar of the Most High in the presence of all the congregation and spread forth his hands towards heaven. 1 Timothy 2:8. I will therefore that men pray everywhere, lifting up holy hands. Psalm 63:4. Thus will I bless thee while I live. I will lift up my hands in thy name. And it's like he showed us how to do that, saying, behold the great Ahiah. So just wanted to make that point. When he has his hands lifted, so when you are in prayer, when you are in praise, you conquer your enemies. When you are putting down your guard, you are putting your hands away from the form of praise in worship, you are lesser, and the enemy starts being able to defeat you, overcome you. Very, very slight message there, but I think that's a concrete message being said here with Moses' arms being lifted or lowered. All right, let's finish this verse 13, I believe.
So Joshua overwhelmed Amalek and his army with the sword. Then the Lord said to Moses, write this on a scroll as a reminder and recite it to Joshua, because I will utterly blot out the memory of Amalek from under heaven. And Moses built an altar and named it, The Lord is my banner. Indeed, he said, a hand was lifted up toward the throne of the Lord. The Lord will war against Amalek from generation to generation.
All right, so foreshadowing of wars to come with Amalek, descendant of Esau. And let's go to Jasher to close out chapter 17 of Exodus. So we're going to be in Jasher 81, reading verses 52 to the end of this chapter 62. And when the children of Yasharallah were in Rephidim, Amalek, the son of Eliphaz, the son of Esau, the brother of Zippo, came to fight with Yasharallah, and he brought with him 801,000 men, musicians and conquerors, and he prepared for battle with Yasharallah in Rephidim. And they carried on a great and severe battle against Yasharallah, and the Adon delivered Amalek and his people into the hands of Moses and the children of Yasharallah, and into the hand of Joshua, the son of Nun, the Ephraite, the servant of Moses. And the children of Israel smote Amalek and his people at the edge of the sword. But the battle was very sore upon the children of Israel. And the Adon said to Moses, write this thing as a memorial for thee in a book, and place it in the hand of Joshua, the son of Nun, thy servant. And thou shalt command the children of Yasharallah, saying, when thou shalt come to the land of Canaan, thou shalt utterly efface the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven. And this doesn't happen. Verse 57, and Moses did so, and he took the book and wrote upon it these words, saying, remember what Amalek has done to thee in the road when thou wentest forth from Egypt, who met thee in the road and smote thy rear, even those that were feeble behind thee, when thou wast faint and weary. Therefore it shall be, when the Adon, thy Elohim, shall have given thee rest from all thy enemies round about in the land, which the Adon Elohim giveth thee for an inheritance to possess it, that thou shalt blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven, thou shalt not forget it. And the king who shall have pity on Amalek, or upon his memory, or upon his seed, behold, I will require it of him, and I will cut him off from amongst his people. And Moses wrote all these things in the book, and enjoined the children of Yasharallah respecting all these matters. Let me get this verse real quick. One second. So, okay, I found so pop quiz. This is foreshadowing, right? The king who shall have pity on Amalek, I will cut him off. What king? What king? Do you remember the story? Right. Easy money, right? King Saul. I just wanted to find the chapter. 1 Samuel 15 is where you'll find it. 1 Samuel 15. Not going to go all into it. Just wanted to have you write a little note there that right here. Matter of fact, let me write it in my notes. Verse 61 brings you to 1 Samuel 15. Saul is the king that disobeyed direct orders to have no pity, even in this chapter. And so be it. All right. And that is chapter 17. Chapter 18.
Exodus 18. Now Moses' father-in-law Jethro, the priest of Midian, heard about all that God had done for Moses and his people Israel, and how the Lord had brought Israel out of Egypt. After Moses had sent back his wife Zipporah, his father-in-law Jethro had received her along with her 2 sons. One son was named Gershom, for Moses had said, I have been a foreigner in a foreign land. The other son was named Eliezer, for Moses had said, the God of my father was my helper, and delivered me from the sword of Pharaoh. Moses' father-in-law Jethro, along with Moses' wife and sons, came to him in the desert, where he was encamped at the mountain of God. He sent word to Moses, I, your father-in-law Jethro, am coming to you with your wife and her 2 sons. So Moses went out to meet his father-in-law and bowed down and kissed him. They greeted each other and went into the tent. Then Moses recounted to his father-in-law all that the Lord had done to Pharaoh and the Egyptians for Israel's sake, all the hardships they had encountered along the way, and how the Lord had delivered them. And Jethro rejoiced over all the good things the Lord had done for Israel, whom he had rescued from the hand of the Egyptians. Jethro declared, Blessed be the Lord, who has delivered you from the hand of the Egyptians and of Pharaoh, and who has delivered the people from the hand of the Egyptians. Now I know that the Lord is greater than all other gods, for he did this when they treated Israel with arrogance.
All right. And verse 11, Jethro saying, now I know. He's not an Israelite. He's a Midianite, right? But this was the entire point of showing the great hand over a great nation like Egypt and all of their lowercase g gods. Now, someone like Jethro, even from a distance, can see and understand that the God of the Israelites are greater than all these other gods. The entire point of how everything played out between the plagues and the Red Sea. Okay, that being said, going up to verse 2 here. After Moses had sent back his wife Zipporah. So just wanted to give a recap of that. We see that in more detail in chapter 79, verse 15 and through 18 in the book of Jasher. And Aaron lifted up his eyes and saw Zipporah, the wife of Moses and her children. And he said unto Moses, who are these? And Moses said unto him, they are my wife and sons, which Elohim gave to me in Midian. And the thing grieved Aaron on account of the woman and her children. And Aaron said to Moses, send away the woman and her children, that they may go to her father's house. And Moses hearkened to the words of Aaron and did so. And Zipporah returned with her children, and they went to the house of Uriel, which is the same as Jethro, and remained there until the time arrived when the Adon had visited his people and brought them forth from Egypt from the hand of Pharaoh. So this is everything coming full circle here. His wife and children was not, they just didn't need to be there at that time. There was way too much chaos, plays going on. So they were sent back until this very moment where he's reunited with his family after they've been delivered. And then we're going to go to Jasher 82. We're going to read verses 1 through 5 on where we're at right now. And the children of Yasharallah proceeded from Rephidim, and they encamped in the wilderness of Sinai. In the 3rd month from their going forth from Egypt. At that time came Uriel, the Midianite, or Jethro, right? The father-in-law of Moses. So obviously the same person, different name. With Zipporah, his daughter, and 2 sons. For he had heard of the wonders of the Adon which he had done to Yasharallah, that he had delivered them from the hand of Egypt. And Uriel came to Moses to the wilderness where he encamped. He was encamped where was the mountain of Elohim. And Moses went forth to meet his father-in-law with great honor, and all Yasharallah was with him. And Uriel and his children remained amongst the Israelites for many days, and Uriel knew the Adon from that day forward. So the testimony of the Israelites made him a believer that day forward. Jethro, the father-in-law of Moses. Let's continue now. Oh, yeah, I'll read that later. Okay, we'll get verse 12 now.
Then Moses' father-in-law Jethro brought a burnt offering and sacrifices to God. And Aaron came with all the elders of Israel to eat bread with Moses' father-in-law in the presence of God. The next day Moses took his seat to judge the people, and they stood around him from morning until evening. When his father-in-law saw all that Moses was doing for the people, he asked, "What is this that you are doing for the people? Why do you sit alone as judge, with all the people standing around you from morning till evening?" "Because the people come to me to inquire of God," Moses replied. "Whenever they have a dispute, it is brought to me to judge between one man and another, and I make known to them the statutes and laws of God." But Moses' father-in-law said to him, "What you are doing is not good. Surely you and these people with you will wear yourselves out, because the task is too heavy for you. You cannot handle it alone. Now listen to me. I will give you some advice, and may God be with you. You must be the people's representative before God, and bring their causes to him. Teach them the statutes and laws, and show them the way to live and the work they must do. Furthermore, select capable men from among the people, God-fearing, trustworthy men who are averse to dishonest gain. Appoint them over the people as leaders of thousands, of hundreds, of fifties, and of tens. Have these men judge the people at all times. Then they can bring you any major issue, but all minor cases they can judge on their own, so that your load may be lightened as they share it with you. If you follow this advice, and God so directs you, then you will be able to endure, and all these people can go home in peace. Moses listened to his father-in-law and did everything he said. So Moses chose capable men from all Israel and made them heads over the people as leaders of thousands, of hundreds, of fifties, and of tens. And they judged the people at all times. They would bring the difficult cases to Moses, but any minor issue they would judge themselves. Then Moses sent his father-in-law on his way, and Jethro returned to his own land.
Wow. So Jethro, we have to put some respect on his name, man. The advice he's given to Moses is wise, and that's why Moses does so and is successful doing so. But let's understand who Jethro is. Let's go to Jasher 67:24. And the king sent and called his two counselors, Jethro, Uriel, the Midianite, and Job. And so, just stopping there, that Jethro is used to giving wise counsel. He gives counsels to kings. So, this is nothing new for him seeing and understanding how things work in a governmental organization, business. This is how everything works. This is how our government works. You have the top person, the president, you have governors, you have mayors, and so there's captain over the entire everyone. There's captain over thousands, captain over tens, as this described with Jethro. One person can't possibly do that relentlessly every day. And it's giving everyone rest because now people can get their answers quicker and they can get on with their lives instead of waiting in line for one person to talk with them. So it's wise counsel, very wise counsel to say the least. And we see the judgment. Moses is in the seat of a judge. And then we see that he assigns others to judge. Verse 22, then they can bring you any major issues, but all minor cases that can be judged on their own. And verse 26, and they judge the people at all the times. And judge is a very picky word nowadays, but let's understand that this is of the Most High to judge, not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Which means not by appearance, but by the law. Proverbs 31:9. So open thy mouth, judge righteously, plead the cause of the poor and the needy. So we plead the cause for the poor and needy because the poor and needy is, till this day, taken advantage of. Those that are strong, mighty, powerful, rich, they're the ones that usually are the ones winning, even if they're wrong, right? Which is why we are told to judge not according to appearance as the wealthy, the powerful. And the structure being set up is for those that can do so, obviously, to their best ability, depending on circumstances. And this entire second portion of chapter 18 brings me to Proverbs 27:17. Iron sharpens iron, so a man sharpens the countenance of his friend. Is setting up a structure that allows the community to sharpen each other. given good counsel and a good hierarchy of upright men allows the community to run better through the counsel of Jethro here. And yep, that is the conclusion of chapter 18. All right. Chapter 19 and 20. Chapter 19. We'll talk about it at the very end, that this is the timing of Shabbaoth, first fruits, the festival of weeks, Pentecost, whichever you want to call it. Chapter 19 is the very first Feast of Weeks they celebrate. This is the most jam-packed chapter we have. Let's do it.
Exodus 19. In the third month, on the same day of the month that the Israelites had left the land of Egypt, they came to the wilderness of Sinai. After they had set out from Rephidim, they entered the wilderness of Sinai, and Israel camped there in front of the mountain. Then Moses went up to God, and the Lord called to him from the mountain. This is what you are to tell the house of Jacob, and explain to the sons of Israel. You have seen for yourselves what I did to Egypt, and how I carried you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself.
So I'm just going to be doing some quick pauses here. And as we go through the eagle's wings, I have seen for you have seen for yourselves what I did to Egypt, and how I carried you on eagle's wing and brought you to myself. Very interesting verse in Revelation 12:14. And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she may fly into the wilderness. Exodus. This is the Exodus. Into her place where she is nourished for a time, have a time from the face of the serpent. This is a spiritual wilderness. Spiritual can be physical. We'll see how it fully develops. Who knows? The fulfillment of these prophecies are so crazily verbalized in scripture. It's hard to tell what may manifest physically or just spiritually, if you get what I mean. But just saying that it is spoken about of this second Exodus, even in this Revelation 12 sign given within the woman in the heavens. All right, let's continue. Verse 5.
Now, if you will indeed obey my voice and keep my covenant, you will be my treasured possession out of all the nations, for the whole earth is mine. And unto me you shall be a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words that you are to speak to the Israelites.
All right, quick pause here. And unto me you shall be a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. So obviously at this time they had the Levitical priesthood to make them a holy nation, to do the holy things of the tabernacle. But prophetically, did I forget to put this verse? Yep. Prophetically, we are all called to be priests of the Most High. This is foreshadowing what everyone in the kingdom will be. 1 Peter 2:9. But ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, and holy nation, a peculiar people. My goodness. Let's go back to that verse now. Verse 6. a kingdom of priests, and a holy nation. There is nothing new. We are called, let's finish it, that ye should show forth the praises of him who has called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. This is what's going on in Exodus right now. Them being called out of Egypt, darkness, where they literally had 3 days of darkness, into his light, receiving his instructions, his Torah.
So Moses went back and summoned the elders of the people, and set before them all these words that the Lord had commanded him. And all the people answered together, "We will do everything that the Lord has spoken." So Moses brought their words back to the Lord. The Lord said to Moses, "Behold, I will come to you in a dense cloud, so that the people will hear when I speak with you, and they will always put their trust in you." And Moses relayed to the Lord what the people had said. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Go to the people and consecrate them today and tomorrow. They must wash their clothes and be prepared by the 3rd day. For on the 3rd day, the Lord will come down on Mount Sinai in the sight of all the people. And you are to set up a boundary for the people around the mountain, and tell them, 'Be careful not to go up on the mountain or touch its base. Whoever touches the mountain shall surely be put to death.'"
And let's remember, we've talked about this, but I'm always down to give you a reminder. The mountain is representing the throne of the Most High. He just got done telling us in verse 9 that I will come to you in a dense cloud, and he's going to sit upon the mountain, right? Like a throne. So there he's saying, don't touch the mountain. This is a holy place. Remember, Moses had to take his shoes off at the burning bush upon this same mountain. This mountain is a holy place. It is the throne of the Most High when he is on it. And yeah, I just wanted to recap in Enoch chapter 25, verse 3. This high mountain which thou hast seen, whose summit is like the throne of Elohim, is his throne, where the holy great one, the Adon of glory, the eternal king, will sit when he shall come down to visit. This is what's happening. He's like, don't touch the throne. You will die if you touch the throne. All right. Continuing now. Verse 13, I believe.
"No hand shall touch him, but he shall surely be stoned or shot with arrows. Whether man or beast, he must not live. Only when the ram's horn sounds a long blast may they approach the mountain." When Moses came down from the mountain to the people, he consecrated them, and they washed their clothes. "Be prepared for the 3rd day," he said to the people. "Do not draw near to a woman."
All right, let's pause there. So we got verse 15. Let's go to 10 and 11 first. Then the Adon said to Moses, "Go to the people and consecrate them today and tomorrow. They must wash their clothes and be prepared by the 3rd day." So he's telling them to consecrate them, cleanse themselves. And a part of cleansing yourselves for this great and mighty day, which I'm going to show you later, is first fruits. It's a Shabbat. He then goes on to explain how to cleanse yourself and to then stay clean. So we have to wash your clothes, bathe, and then in verse 15, to not draw near to a woman. All right, so this will bring us to Shabbat instructions, but we're going to focus on just one right now, which is why we put no sex on the Shabbat instructions, because in the context, study to show thyself approved. In the context of scripture, on holy days and events, you are to be clean, to at least to your best ability, right? Leviticus 15:18. We know if a man lies with a woman, both of them shall bathe themselves in water and be unclean until evening. So in the day of, and even when we think about the story of David eating the showbread, one of the questions to eat the showbread, the holy bread, was if you have been with a woman. Okay. So being with a woman, or obviously a woman with a man, specifically, we're not, they even say days before that, but where it says until evening. So until evening, stay away from doing this act on a holy event. All right. It is unclean. And if the day is set apart, don't be doing unclean things in it. All right. Let's continue. Verse 16.
On the third day, when morning came, there was thunder and lightning. A thick cloud was upon the mountain, and a very loud blast of the ram's horn went out, so that all the people in the camp trembled. Then Moses brought the people out of the camp to meet with God, and they stood at the foot of the mountain. Mount Sinai was completely enveloped in smoke, because the Lord had descended on it in fire. And the smoke rose like the smoke of a furnace, and the whole mountain quaked violently. And as the sound of the ram's horn grew louder and louder, Moses spoke, and God answered him in the thunder.
The ram's horn grew louder and louder. Another word for ram's horn in scripture, they do have silver trumpets, but the majority of times, especially in the New Testament, which is where we're going, a trumpet is speaking about a ram's horn. My goodness, did I get these verses? Excuse me, forgot to put this one too. Must have skipped over this chapter somehow. Revelation 1:10. The ram's horn at the mount. I was in the spirit on the Adon's day and heard behind me a great voice as a trumpet, a ram's horn. So this is as a voice of the word that is on the mount right now. Verse 20.
The Lord descended to the top of Mount Sinai and called Moses to the summit. So Moses went up, and the Lord said to him, Go down and warn the people not to break through to see the Lord, lest many of them perish. Even the priests who approach the Lord must consecrate themselves, or the Lord will break out against them. But Moses said to the Lord, The people cannot come up Mount Sinai, for you solemnly warned us, Put a boundary around the mountain, and set it apart as holy. And the Lord replied, Go down and bring Aaron with you. But the priests and the people must not break through to come up to the Lord, or he will break out against them. So Moses went down to the people and spoke to them.
All right, so this is, like I said, we're going to do a recap on first fruits. So let's just go to Leviticus 23. First fruits starts at verse 9 through 22. And the Adon spoke to Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Yasharallah, and say unto them, when ye be come into the land which I give unto you, and shall reap the harvest thereof, then ye shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priest, and he shall wave the sheaf before the Most High to be accepted for you. On the morrow after the Sabbath, the priest shall wave it, and ye shall offer that day when ye wave the sheaf and he lamb without blemish of the first year for a burnt offering unto the Most High. And the meat offering thereof shall be 2/10 deals of fine flour mingled with oil, an offering made by fire unto the Most High for a sweet savor. And the drink offering thereof shall be of wine, the fourth part of a hin. And ye shall eat neither bread nor parched corn nor green ears until the self same day that ye have brought an offering unto your Elohim. This right here, we're going to see in a second. So you do not eat of the fruit of the land until you bring the first fruits to the Most High. That's what's being said plainly here. This is going to be a key verse for breaking down some wisdom later. It shall be a statute for ever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. And ye shall count unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath, from the day that ye brought the sheaf of the wave offering, 7 Sabbaths shall be complete. Even unto the morrow after the 7th Sabbath shall ye number 50 days, and ye shall offer a new meat offering unto the Most High. Ye shall bring out of your habitations 2 wave loaves of 2/10 deals. They shall be of fine flour. They shall be baken with leaven. They are the first fruits unto the Most High. And ye shall offer with bread 7 lambs without blemish of the first year, and 1 young bullock, and 2 rams. And they shall be for a burnt offering unto the Most High, with their meat offering and their drink offerings, even an offering made by fire of sweet savor unto the Most High. Then ye shall sacrifice 1 kid of the goats for a sin offering, and 2 lambs of the first year for a sacrifice of peace offering. And the priest shall wave them with bread of the first fruits for a wave offering before the Most High with the 2 lambs. They shall be holy to the Most High for the priests, and ye shall proclaim on the self same day that it may be a holy convocation unto you. There we have it, a holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work. Here's that holy day Sabbath rules. It's the same thing on every Sabbath, and there may be something added, but the standard of a holy convocation, no work, etc., it's the same, very consistent. A statute forever in all your dwellings throughout your generations. And when ye reap the harvest of the land, thou shalt not make clean riddance of the corners of thy field. When thou reapest, neither shalt thou gather any gleanings of thy harvest. Thou shalt leave them unto the poor and to the stranger. I am Ahaya, your Elohim. All right, that was a quick recap of all. This is from the first fruits of. I started from the first fruits of unleavened bread because that's where we start the count of 50 days to get to Shavuot, which is what we're going to go over right now. So we're going to go to the Targums first. And, well, let's go back to verse 1 over here. And we see here, in the 3rd month, on the same day of the month that the Israelites had left Egypt, they came into the wilderness of Sinai. And then they have a notion here. Hebrew in the 3rd month on the same day, that is 2 months after leaving Egypt. And so the translators are thinking that this is, they left on the manuscript translation, at least, they left, when they did leave on the 15th of the month, and in the 3rd month, on the same day of the month that the Israelites left. So they thinking that this is right here, this is the 3rd month on the 15th day of the month. And you're going to see why this is a very big deal. because this is where a false book called the Book of Jubilees declares it. But we're going to see that if you read the whole chapter, it can't even work out that way. This is not what it means. And we're going to go to the Targums and then have a second witness with the book of Jasher. And then I'm going to show you that it would be impossible, even if you did think that it meant the same day of the 15th. It still wouldn't make it possible for it to be on the 15th of the third month. So hold on tight. Let's go over it. So we're going to go to the Targums here, chapter 19, verse 1. In the third month of the exodus of the sons of Israel from the land of Mizraim, Egypt, on that day, which is the first of the month, not the same day that they left Egypt, but on the day of the first of the third month is what's being declared. And then I'm just going to jump to the verses that declares the timeline here. So verse 1 says we're at the beginning of the month. Verse 3, Moshe on the second day went up to the summit and received the instructions on the second day. And then we go down to verse 10. And on the fourth day, he went to prepare the people to say, prepare for today, tomorrow, for the third day. Be prepared on the third day. The fourth day being 1, the fifth day, and then the day after that will be the sixth day. Okay, and then we go to verse 16, and it was on the third day, which was the 6th of the month. And say, so now this is the timeline, is that they got there on the beginning of the third day, of the third month, excuse me. And then about time all the instructions, and then that third saying, prepare for the third day, that led us to the 6th day. And so we take that and we go to the book of Jasher, chapter 80. Where we at? Chapter 82, verse 6 through 7. By the way, I've gone over this in the Path of Righteousness and in the Shavuot yearly studies. So this is just a review. I expound more on this in other studies as well. But I will take the opportunity when granted to show understanding on this. So now we left off at verse 5 with Uriel there. Now verse 6. In the third month from the children of Israel departure from Egypt, on the 6th day. See that? This is the third month on the 6th of the month. The Adon gave to Israel the 10 commandments on Mount Sinai. And all Israel heard all these commandments, and all Israel rejoiced exceedingly in the Adon on that day. All right. So we got the witnesses declaring it. And now just want to go over the visuals I have prepared. So it doesn't matter what translation you use if you know how to use the context, but we can use the KJV, the Septuagint, and the Targums, and we see that the count should start on the morrow after the Sabbath. The context that is you have to look for is that which Sabbath. I've said this, that these holy convocations are Sabbaths. There's not just the 7-day Sabbath. There are the Moedim, the yearly Sabbaths of feast days. So when it says on the morrow after the Sabbath, it's talking about the first day of unleavened bread. As Antiquities of the Jews of Josephus clearly states here, and this is just to put it clearly, not to say, oh, because he says so. We're using scripture, but on the second day of unleavened bread, which is the 16th day of the month, they partake of the first fruits. And once we look in the Septuagint, on the morrow after the first day of the Sabbath, the morrow after the day of Pesach, it will give us the month of Abib, and the morrow being the 16th day, as I just read. So if you count this as day 1, it will give us the 6th of the third month, as we just read. Nice and neat, as scripture gives us and reveals to us. And I even have a second witness to confirm the matter that it is on the 16th day. We see in Joshua, we just got done reading. I told you to remember in Leviticus 23, 14 and 15, when we talked about the parched corn, that you cannot eat it until you have gave the first fruits. So in the context of Joshua, we know that this is after Passover, immediately after Passover. The children of Israel encamped in Gilgal and kept the Passover on the 14th day of the month at evening in the plains of Jericho. And they did eat of the old corn of the land. And so the 14th and the 15th day is known as the Feast of Pesach. Starting in the evening to the evening of the 15th is the Feast of Pesach. And then on the morrow after the Passover, which would be the 16th day, unleavened cakes in parched corn in the self same day. So this is highlighted yellow to show the connection there. If they ate this after the Feast of Pesach on the 15th day, then that means on the 16th day, for them to eat the parched corn in the same day, that means they had to give the offering of first fruits on that day, which lines up with what we just read all over here, that the second day of the unleavened bread, the day after the Feast of Pesach, the first day, which is the 16th day, is when they first partake of the first fruits. So just showing that this is the standard backed by multiple scriptures in context. So now that being said, we continue. We see the book of Jubilees. I definitely want to always try to denounce the book of Jubilees, because at one point I was using it and announcing it to be used. So I want to denounce it and show you why. One of the many reasons, but the person that wrote the book of Jubilees had a misconception over what I said with verse 1. On the self same day. Please stop playing with the pencil. Watch what you're doing. All right. That's that same day of the month, thinking it's the 15th day. And as we look at the presentation in Jubilees 15, the third month in the middle of the month, which would be most likely the 15th day. Jubilees 16:13. Oh, in the Feast of First Fruits, just showing that this is where the book of Jubilees totally has a separate time of the festival. Jubilees 16:13, third month, middle of the month, Festival of First Fruits. Jubilees 44, 1 through 5. They have celebrated the harvest festival of first fruits, and then the following day was the 16th day. So all of these have it in the middle of the month on the 15th day of the month. And I say all of that because they're thinking that this beginning of the third month was on the same day of the 15th, but that wouldn't even make it the day of first fruits. Because remember, let's not forget, it tells us at least to wait 3 more days. But in the context, is more time has passed, that it's the 6th day of the month. But in other words, days pass after the first verse here. So even if you did think this is the 15th of the third month, first fruits and the time that the 10 Commandments is given would be not in the middle of the month. It would be on whatever 18th plus on. So in other words, when something ain't true, it just falls apart. Can't even use scripture to back up this idea of Jubilees and the Feast of First Fruits. The timing of the 10 Commandments being on the 15th day of the third month. It's a understanding from them, but that's of Abba to expose this false book. This is the purpose behind it. And yeah, this is just confirming, saying that this is the misconception of that, and the misconception after the morrow of the Sabbath. They're using the Sabbath after the Sabbath of the week of unleavened bread. And like I said, I expound and elaborate more on this in the Path of Righteousness study and the Feast of Weeks annual study as well. But just wanted to point out, I know this is a lot, but just wanted to point out that the Book of Jubilees, and I have a study called Testing the Book of Jubilees that goes over all this as well. So I have few more studies going over this. So I'm not going to spend any more time on it. If you want more understanding, go seek out those studies. And I pray Abba will open your eyes. All right. Woo! And that's Exodus 19, the first feast of weeks for those in the book of Exodus. All right, chapter 20, last chapter of our reading, the receiving of the 10 commandments.
Exodus 20. And God spoke all these words: I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself an idol in the form of anything in the heavens above, on the earth below, or in the waters beneath. You shall not bow down to them or worship them. For I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers on their children to the third and fourth generations of those who hate me, but showing loving devotion to 1,000 generations of those who love me and keep my commandments. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, for the Lord will not leave anyone unpunished who takes his name in vain.
All right. The other commandments, I think, is very straightforward so far. We have, you shall have no other gods before me. I mean, sounds straightforward, but then there's always ways to put idols in front of him that may be overlooked. We have that you shall not make yourself an idol. That's pretty straightforward. And then we have you shall not take his name in vain. So let's look up what the word vain actually means here. Because people think that means, oh my God, which God ain't even his name. It's a title. And it's not even a Hebrew title. Like no one was using God until English got here. Like it's just so let's go to oops. Where am I at? Oh, okay, here we are. Here we are. The definition for vain: emptiness, falsehood, nothingness, desolating, evil, a lie, uselessness. So, what is when he speaks on taking his name in vain? It isn't saying, "Oh my God," it's using his name to trick someone. You ever heard someone say, "I'm a man of God. I wouldn't do that," and then they went and did it. Like somebody doing that. Oh, I put it on God. I put it on the Most High, but then they go and do it. That is using his name in vain. You're acting like you saying that is justifying his power, that you fear him and you wouldn't do something, but then you're doing it to deceive others. That's what breaking the third commandment, taking his name in vain, is. Let's continue. Verse 8, the Sabbath.
Remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God, on which you must not do any work, neither you, nor your son or daughter, nor your manservant or maidservant, or livestock, nor the foreigner within your gates. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, and the sea and all that is in them. But on the seventh day he rested. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and set it apart as holy.
All right, so we touched on the no sex. I want to take this time to cover the Shabbat instructions that we shall do to keep the day set apart and holy. Well, first and foremost, we got to understand when to start it and end it to make sure we draw the lines where it's necessary. From the rising of the sun to its setting, the name of the Most High is to be praised. That's just one verse. That's not declaring that it by itself, but it is sunrise to sunset is the Sabbath. Remember, Mashiach is Adon, Lord of the Sabbath day, and he is light, and light alone. There is no darkness in him. So in the presence of light, he will be there, and we shall keep it holy. And then we should rest, have a set apart gathering, and no work. And we get that all throughout Leviticus 23. Those three commandments for every Shabbat. And then we got worship expounded on in Isaiah 66:23. It shall come to pass from one new moon to another, from one Sabbath to another, all shall come to worship me. Then no buy or sell explicitly in detail in Nehemiah 10:31. And if the people of the land bring in goods or any grain on the Sabbath day to sell, we will not buy from them on the Sabbath or on a holy day. See that? Sabbath or holy day? Any holy day is a Sabbath. They're one and the same in the sense of buying or selling in these instructions. Leviticus 15:18, we already went over. No sex because we don't want to do things that are unclean on holy days. And then Numbers 10:10, you should know what's up. We blow the trumpet with gladness and praise on his Moedim. So this is the basics of the Shabbat. You do this, you shall keep his day set apart. All right, verse 12.
Honor your father and mother, so that your days may be long in the land that the Lord your God is giving you. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, or his manservant or maidservant, or his ox or donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor.
And I'm glad this translation, let me look at the KJV for verse 13. Yeah, see, they translate it as not kill. There's plenty of people that get killed in the Bible, guys. Plenty. They're called to stone people, to hang people. There is death penalties in this same Torah. So simply killing is a bad translation. And I really do point it out because people will take it even as far as saying, see, you're not supposed to kill anything, even animals to eat. Guys, come on, we got to do better than this. We have a Leviticus 11 food law on how to butcher and kill animals. We have to put everything in context so it all works together. This is not simply kill anything, even a bug, right? This is murder. Wrongful killing of another person, guys. Or even wrongful killing of an animal if it's breaking the law in his Torah. There's laws even on how to deal with animals in some cases. So if you do anything in the wrong way, maybe it would be to the standard of murder, right? But not just simply killing. Committing adultery. Mashiach wanted to raise the level of this. Matthew 5:28-32. But I say unto you that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her has committed adultery with her already in his heart. So this is obviously talking about a married woman, right? If she's not married, then you can't commit adultery if woman's not married, right? And if thy right eye offend thee, pluck it out and cast it from thee. For it is profitable for thee that one of thy members should perish, and not that thy whole body should be cast into hell. And if thy right hand offend thee, cast it off. Cut it off and cast it from thee. For it is profitable for thee that one of thy members should perish, and not thy whole body should be cast into hell. It has been said, whosoever shall put away his wife, let him give her a writing of divorce. But I say unto you, that whosoever shall put away his wife, saving for the cause of fornication, causes her to commit fornication. And whosoever shall marry her that is divorced committeth adultery. So, in layman's terms, he's saying you can't be divorced just because y'all don't like each other, just because y'all don't get along anymore, just because the butterflies are gone. It's going to have to be a heinous act of adultery, or I would say even just a plague of fornication of even foreign gods, that someone would draw you apart to even be even think about the act of divorce. It has to start off with something very powerful, wicked that we're speaking of right here. You just can't get divorced for any reason now. And so all of these commandments now, from this do not steal, bear false witness, and covet, Mashiach wraps these up after one questions him, saying, Master, which is the great commandment in the law? And Yeshaya said unto him, Thou shalt love the Adon, the Elohim, with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it, Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. So we went over the 10 commandments, and he gives the two great commandments, and he says, these two great commandments hang the law and the prophets. And I mean, could it be any more perfect? You have the first great commandment, which corresponds with the first 4 commandments. These first 4 is all between you and the Creator. And then the second is like unto it, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. So many people that want to do away with the Torah will say, well, that's all we need to do. But if you ask every single person on earth how to be righteous and how to love each other's neighbor, everyone will give different meanings, different perspectives on how to love thy neighbor. This is why the instructions in the Torah are still alive and well. They tell us how to be righteous towards each other. It isn't based on our own convictions or upbringing. You honor your father and mother. You don't murder each other, adultery, steal, bear false witness, covet. And then as we get into the rest of the instructions in the Torah, it goes into even more instructions that you could have hanging from each of these 10 bullet point instructions that encaps all of the focal point of what it means to be living righteous. All right. All right, let's read the last portion here, just verse 18 to 21.
When all the people witnessed the thunder and lightning, the sounding of the ram's horn, and the mountain enveloped in smoke, they trembled and stood at a distance. Speak to us yourself, and we will listen, they said to Moses, but do not let God speak to us, or we will die. Do not be afraid, Moses replied, for God has come to test you, so that the fear of him may be before you, to keep you from sinning. And the people stood at a distance as Moses approached the thick darkness where God was.
All right, I wanted to close out this portion by declaring who the Most High is using Moses to foreshadow, which no surprise here. Moses is foreshadowing the great Mashiach Yasha, right? Everything about this story, Moses revealing the Torah, Moses being the messenger, Moses on the mount next to the voice of the Most High. This is all symbolic of what's to come. So I want to tell a little story through a few verses here. So let's go to Job 9. The way the people are afraid and they know that they can't stand the wrath and glory of the Most High reminds me of Job 9:32 through 35 when he was in judgment. For he is not a man. Job is talking about the Most High, as I am, that I should answer him, and we should come together in judgment. Neither is there a daysman betwixt us that might lay his hands upon us both. So a mediator of sorts. Let him take his rod away from me, wrath. Let not his fear terrify me. Then would I speak and not fear him, but it is not so with me. So Job is saying that I don't even stand a chance to even like have a conversation with the Most High in his power, in his wrath, because there's no mediator at this time. It's Job talking to the Most High, right? And that is the entire story of our coming king, which is the prophecy coming in Deuteronomy 18 for this very reason that we're reading about in the book of Job and at the time of Mount Sinai with the people saying, Moses, you talk to us, we'll listen to you, but do not let God speak to us or we will die. It's the same perspective Job is speaking on here. So Deuteronomy 18 comes in. The Most High, thy Elohim, will raise up unto thee a prophet from the midst of thee, of thy brethren, like unto me. Unto him ye shall hearken, according to all that thou desires of the Most High, the Elohim, in Horem, in the day of the assembly, saying, let me not hear again the voice of the Most High, the Elohim, neither let me see this great fire anymore, that I die not. The Most High said unto me, they have well spoken that which they have spoken. I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren like unto thee, and will put my words in his mouth. And he shall speak unto them all that I shall command him. And it shall come to pass that whosoever will not hearken unto my words, which he shall speak in my name, I will require it of him. This is, some people try to say this is talking about Joshua. If this was talking about Joshua, then he would have declared it had been Joshua that day, that right here. This is speaking of a prophetic message of a prophet like unto Moses. And Mashiach has so many similarities to Moses. And one of them is being on the right hand of the throne and coming down here to give us instructions and understandings of the law. And we see this just this last chapter, Exodus 19:9. And the Most High said unto Moses, lo, I come unto thee in a thick cloud, that the people may hear when I speak with thee, and believe thee forever. And Moses told the words of the people to the Most High. So he was doing things to declare Moses as being the leader and allowing him to be the messenger of these words. Same structural purpose of at least Mashiach's time alive here. Obviously, his death and resurrection was even a greater purpose, but this was the bulk of his ministry, was to come here and show us how to actually walk out the way, the truth, and the life, which is keeping his commandments that Moses is giving right here. And lastly, Hebrews 12:18 through 24. For ye are not come unto the mount that might be touched, and that burned with fire, nor unto blackness and darkness and tempest, and the sound of a trumpet, ram's shofar, ram's horn, the voice of words, which voice they that heard entreated that the word should not be spoken to them anymore, for they could not endure that which was commanded. And if so much as a beast touch the mountain, it shall be stoned and thrust through with a dart. And so terrible was the sight that Moses said, I exceedingly fear and quake. But ye are come unto the Mount Zion, unto the city of the living Elohim, the heavenly Jerusalem, and to an innumerable company of angels, to the general assembly in the church of the firstborn. Remember, this was on the festival of first fruits, which is firstborn from the fruit of the womb. By no coincidence, the general assembly in the church of the firstborn, which are written in heaven, and Elohim, the judge of all, to the spirits of just men made perfect, and Yeshua, the mediator of the new covenant, into the blood of sprinkling, that part that speaketh better things than that of Abel. And so Hebrews is setting up that everything that happened at Mount Sinai was foreshadowing of Yasha coming as a mediator, as Moses was, and bringing on that covenant in the time of Mount Sinai. This was foreshadowing everything Mashiach came to do and will come to do as mediator, and with a new covenant, as we seen foreshadowed, that I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren, and through him he will come with my words. It shall come to pass that whosoever will not hearken unto my words, which he shall speak in my name, I will require it of him. And that is the conclusion of week 21, Torah portion covering 17:8 through 20:21. We're getting in the nitty-gritty of his instructions next chapter that Moses receives at Mount Sinai. Once again, Shabbat Shalom, and I'll see y'all next week.